and welcome everybody to the Inner Carnivore Podcast, episode 6, with my guest, Eric Couch. Before we get into it, whether you're listening on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, soon to be Apple Podcasts, or watching this on YouTube, if you could do us a huge favor, like, subscribe, comment, leave a review. That helps out immensely. Jumping right into it, how's it going, Eric?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, I feel good and honored that you're doing this during an Alabama game.
Hey,
I'm pretty sure that's sacrilegious down there.
well, maybe a few years ago when I was a rabid fan, uh, fortunately, I think those YouTube videos of me being a rabid fan are kind of hidden away. But now that I'm 45 now, so that it's kind of mellowed out. Plus, I've been so concentrated on this weight loss thing that everything else is just second place other than my kids. But yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot the game was this early, but I mean it's Kentucky, so they're up 21 right now, and so
Oh, jeez.
yeah, it's like 7 minutes left in the second quarter. So
I gotcha. I gotcha. So jumping right into that, when did the weight loss journey and when did it start and how did you get to that point where you're like, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to jump into it?
well, really, it started in 2020, but I don't say that's when I started because I failed. And I had tried once before in 2013 because I guess I should go back to how it started, how everything started. I wasn't a big guy my whole life. In high school, I was lanky. I wanted to play football, but I was so tall, like I couldn't gain weight, and they put me on the line, and the linemen were huge. I'm like, I can't play against these people. So, I stuck to like baseball my whole growing up and basketball. But when I got out of high school, I went straight to work, and my family owned a trucking company, and I was a diesel mechanic. And I did that for 10 years. And I got married in 2001. I had my oldest daughter, we had our first daughter 2002. And then my middle daughter was 2004. So between 2002 and 2004, I started getting the quote unquote dad bod because life was slowing down. It was basically work, kids, and I was still hunting and fishing, but not as much as I was before I got married. And then between 2004 and 2006, my youngest daughter was born in 2006. My ex-wife and my relationship was real strained. She lost her father right before our youngest daughter was born, so that kind of you know made things a little worse. And then 2007 was a really bad year for me, relationship wise with her. And then we ended up getting divorced in 2008. And uh, since then, I've raised my girls on my own. They're 21, 19, and 17 now. My 21-year-old is off to college in Georgia. She's in nursing school, and my middle daughter and youngest daughter still live at home. But they're teenagers, so they do their own thing. Uh, so basically, between about 2010 is when I really noticed that I was really starting to gain weight because uh, 2008 I stayed stressed out that whole year, and I really wasn't eating much. I was working. At my job I had to work 12-hour shifts, and it was a 1 hour transit each way. So I got to where I was starting to stop at McDonald's and Hardee's and places like that. Crystal, which I don't know if y'all got Crystal out there. It's probably y'all got White Castle or no, it's Crystal.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Okay, well, so anyway, I'd grab a bag of Crystals and eat them on the way in, and then I went to day shift, so I started getting biscuits. I'd get 2 or 3 biscuits in the morning, and I was at an office job. I was no longer diesel mechanic. I was working in a large trucking company in the office, and I had food available 24/7. I think personally, I don't want to get off what I was saying, but I think that's a problem we have in our country. We got 24/7 access to food. But I digress. What made it worse is the office I was working in, they had a Subway cart literally 30 yards from my desk. And the guy would come in first thing in the morning, he'd have breakfast. And then when about 11 o'clock rolled around, he'd start making sandwiches. And then at the end of the day, whatever cookies he didn't sell, he'd sell them for like 3 for $1 or something, you know. And I think just one of their cookies is like 300 and something calories or something, you know. So, I mean, I would eat constantly at my desk. And then um, I was I was drinking, but not a lot. Um, I'd come home and have a cocktail or something, or a beer every once in a while. So I was very sedentary life, and it didn't take long from 2010 to 2013. I gained a lot of weight, and then I just gave up. I was like, you know what? I'm happy. Well, I thought I was happy.
Hmm.
That's I was like, well, I'm happy. I'm single. My kids are doing good. I mean, I ain't got no worries. I didn't think I had any worries. So from about 2013 on to 2020, I had several job changes, and my stress levels kept going up. And the job that I had in 2020 was probably the most stressful job that I've had my whole career in trucking. And that really compounded things because I turned to my old friend food, and I was eating so much food. So I've been going back and looking. Facebook memories sometimes are a good thing and sometimes they're a bad thing. And so I go back and I look, I'm eating two or three big, huge biscuits for breakfast, and then having like maybe a honey bun or some kind of little Debbie snack cake for a snack. And then I would be eating candy and stuff at my desk, and then have a huge lunch, and then turn around and have a huge supper. So before long, I ballooned up to 457 pounds. And so I finally got the job that I have now is closer to home, and I had that opportunity, so I took it. And their benefits was really good, and I thought, well, I just need to break down. I just need to go talk to them about having. I was going to have the vertical gastric sleeve done. I was thinking that was my only option, because I was like, I can't do this. I've got to have some help. And I didn't even have a primary care physician at the time, so I got one and started going to her. And she said, well, I know they're going to tell you that you need to go see a cardiologist before they'll have the surgery, so let's go ahead and get that lined up for you. So I went and seen a cardiologist, and he was like, if you can do something right now, he said, your heart's in good shape. He said, but you're not in good shape. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures, but I mean, I felt bad for that person, even though I know it was me. You could just tell I wasn't healthy at all. So went to the bariatric doctor. He was in Birmingham. Went and had an initial consultation and everything, and um, they put me on. This was in September. He wanted me to lose 60 pounds before he'd have the surgery, because my stomach was so descended, so out there. He said, no, this was his words. He said, your stomach's so big, I can't do laparoscopic surgery on you until it goes down some. He said, you're going to have to lose at least 60 pounds. So that, like I said, I think that was toward the end of September, 1st of October of 20. So the planned surgery date was the week after Christmas. So he said, the first week of December, he said, I want you as close to 50, 60 pounds as you can get. So I went back, and they had put me on 1,500 calories a day and keto and intermittent fasting. Well, I was down 50, but my insurance ended up not covering it because I didn't have any comorbidities. Even though I was 457 pounds, my blood pressure was just barely high. Everything was just right there at the borderline. My cholesterol, my blood pressure. So they're like, well, you're going to have to pay $10,000 to have the surgery. And I'm like, this is not going to happen. And they said something that really struck to me because, and I just want to say, I don't knock anybody for having surgery. I don't knock anybody for taking medication. But please do your research. Research it fully because I know so many people that's had problems with both, and I know people that's had success with both. But I felt like that was my sign that you need to do this naturally. And so I left there and I just kept doing what they had me do. And that worked. I ended up getting down to I think it was about 375, maybe 380 pounds. But then my birthday rolled around, summer of 21, and I had a couple of cheat days, and that turned into a cheat week, and it turned into a cheat month. The next thing you know, it's November of 2022, and I'm back up to 450. I was 432, about 430 pounds. And we had a family get together for Thanksgiving, and we did a family picture, and I was like, man, here I am again in this same position. So I started right there at the end of November, and I tried to go back to what I did before. And I was like, this is not working. The foods that I was eating, the biscuits and the bread and stuff like that. I wasn't really drinking. I wasn't really drinking my calories because I've never really for the past 2-3 years I've not had like regular soda and stuff like that, and I don't drink alcohol no more. I haven't had alcohol in probably 3 years, but it's just the type of food I was eating. It just had such a hold on me, and that's when I tell somebody I'm a recovering food addict, they laugh at me, and I said, well, it's the truth. If I have one piece of bread, it's going to lead to another piece. My willpower to not eat that stuff is not there. It never has been. But a friend of mine, he had a cruise that he had bought pre-COVID, but then when COVID hit, it kept getting pushed out and kept getting pushed out. And they said, pick any date you want to go. You're a loyal customer or whatever. So he picked a date in January, and he had forgot about it. And they said, hey, you got to use this cruise by then or you're going to lose it. So he called me up. He said, hey, man, you got a passport? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, we're going to go on this cruise. I was like, okay, going to the Bahamas. I've never been to the Bahamas. Yeah, I'll go. So we get down this was in the middle of January, the second or third week of January. And we left out of Tampa. And so when we got to Nassau the next day, we're going to get off the boat, and I'm in the elevator, and there's that picture's been on my social media for this whole year. That's kind of that was my aha moment, so to speak. I'm in the elevator. We're going down to the deck to get off the boat, and they've got mirrored elevators, and I took a selfie in the mirror. And I got thinking, that's not you. That's not you. And it made I got mad. I was mad at myself for, at the time I was 44. I'm like, I should be enjoying this trip, but I couldn't. And so we went through the town of Nassau that day, and I was was going to Bimini the next day, and I was just completely gassed of energy just from walking around, what little walking around we did that day. So I said, all right, enjoy the rest of this week, because when we get back, it's time to start. We're just going to start. So we got done with the cruise. We got back, and I got sick. Yeah, I've always heard everybody get sick when they get off a cruise ship. So I was sick. I got done being sick. I had just typed weight loss, diet change, and I think the first thing that come up was I don't know if it was Ken Berry or somebody. I can't remember exactly who. I think it was, but it was about carnivore. And the more I read about it, I was like, I can do this. I love meat, So I set a date, January the 28th. That was going to be the day I started. But it was funny because it was our church's meal day, and it was Italian day. And I was like, great, you picked a great day to start. Because, who doesn't love lasagna and spaghetti and garlic bread?
Right.
So I said, okay. I said, this is your last carb loaded meal that you're going to have for the foreseeable future. So I had some lasagna and some garlic bread. Well, that night I had a ribeye and eggs. That's the first time I'd had steak with eggs. I had a ribeye and 2 scrambled eggs. I was like, that's pretty good. So I ended up fasting. I did a 16/8 fast, and the next day I had, I think it was eggs and bacon the next day at work. And by the time the fast was done, I was like, I'm not really that hungry. And I was, because my routine was I start work at 7:30. I would usually stop at the local gas station. They have a hot bar and they have homemade biscuits there every morning. I'd grab 2 or 3 of them in a big giant cinnamon roll, and I'd eat that, and then I'd eat lunch, and I'd have snacks in between, and then I was in that revolving door again. But when I found the carnivore diet and you know doing the intermittent fasting, it kept me fuller longer. So those first couple of days, it was like I'm not even hungry, and so the second day, my boss was like, I want to go get some lunch. Do you want anything? And I said, no, I've got my own lunch. Well, they had got Chick-fil-A. So they come in and it's just, I was like, man, the temptation is so hard. So fast forward probably, uh, a couple of days, and I kind of went back more keto. I was, eating veggies and stuff. And so that first about a month and a half, I think I dropped probably 40 pounds. And it was just like, boom, I was down to 404 in February. And everybody said, you're starving yourself to death, da 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 da. I said, I feel great. So that was when I said, I got to start exercising. I'm losing weight is good, but I know I'm going to have to start exercising. So I go to start exercising. I can't even get 15 minutes of walking in before I'm just huffing and puffing. So I said, all right, we've got to start doing this at least 2 times a week. And what's funny is I work next to a cemetery, so I thought, what's a perfect place to get your steps in, motivation in the cemetery. So I set 2 times a day. I would go walk for 15 minutes. So as that drove on, I set it to 30 minutes. And so from February to April, I dropped, of course, I dropped some more weight. But then the first of April, that's when I said I really need to look at starting carnivore and just going straight carnivore, because I was really doing more low carb / keto. I said let's jump on this. So I started April the 1st, and then May the 1st I was down to 365. I thought, well, this is working. I had more energy. I was doing 1 or 2 miles walking a day. I was starting to jog and doing sprints. And this was a guy that had not done anything like that in years. So I started. That's when I started jujitsu. Was the 1st of May, because my coach had been after me for years. Because he's a personal friend. He's like, man, just come out here and join us. He said, you'll start losing weight. He said, you'll do it. And I just, I can't do it. So I weighed in. First day of class was May the 1st. I was 365. And so we started competing. We started going pretty hard, and it went from 2 or 3 days a week to 5 days a week. I started going back to the gym. I'm still eating carnivore. I'm still intermittent fasting and doing all this. So we had a jiu-jitsu competition in September the 9th. Because I hurt my foot the week before. I weighed in at the competition 308. So from September the 9th to January the 28th, I just made this huge change. But then, like I said, before I hurt my foot, I went through the competition, went to the doctor the next week, and I ended up having a small bone in my foot that was fractured. So he put me in a boot, Stayed in the boot the whole month of September. Uh, about the second week of October, he cleared me to go back to exercise and go back to jujitsu, but he said just take it easy. I was a weekend. I was doing like 10,000 steps a day. I just went hardcore. I'm like I got to get back in shape, and I ended up aggravating it again. So he shut me down for 6 weeks. And Mr. Healy, if you're watching this, I've not been shut down 6 weeks. I started back about 2 weeks early. Um, and it just goes to show that if I had hurt my foot in January, I'd probably be on crutches right now with a boot. I think the changes that I made between April and September really helped my body heal. Now, I know you're going to say, well, you're down 2 months. Well, I was down a month and I went super hard. I mean, I went back to jujitsu. I did a leg lock seminar the week I got back, and I shouldn't have went to that, but I did. And they're twisting and on my foot. But I'm 45. Most 45-year-olds that are not in shape or whatever, if they get injured, they're down for several months. So I thought, I told my jiu-jitsu coach, I said, look, I said, I hate to do this. I said, but I've just got to stop doing anything. And I had from October the 12th to Wednesday of this week, sorry. I did nothing, just mundane walking around the house, grocery shopping, whatever. I did go to the Alabama and Arkansas football game, and we had to park a long way. So that was the longest walking I had did. But I wanted to make sure my foot was ready. So Wednesday of this week, I went to my usual walking spot, and I did a mile. And I was like, man, I feel good. I guess I can keep going. I was like, nope, got to stop. Don't go too far. And so I went back the next day, Thursday. I went that morning, and I went Thursday night, and I went yesterday morning. And yesterday afternoon, I could tell my foot was starting to bother me a little bit. But started taking my medicine again. And Friday when I weighed in, I was at 292. So 140 pounds since I started this thing. And, I'm still chugging right along. I got back into to the gym today. I started doing Zach Strength's his he's got a lifting program, and I started doing that. Today was the first day. It's a 12-week program, so I got big dreams next year. I want to be I want to start doing softball umpiring in the spring. So this coincides well. I'm hoping by the end of this 12-week program that I'm going to be ready. I've been talking with some of my other friends. There's a Spartan race in Atlanta. I think it's March the 16th, 17th. If I reach my goal weight by the 1st of March, I'm going to enter that race, the 5K portion. So, my goal weight's 225, so I've got several months, to get that. But I have found, and when I got injured and I quit exercising, that my weight loss just pretty much stalled. I was at 308, and I lost 10 pounds in that time period, but I didn't gain anything. And that was all way of eating. I mean, that was because I literally had no exercise. And so this lifestyle is very obtainable for weight loss. And whenever I see somebody say that it's restrictive or fad diet or anything they say, I've got to where I don't even respond anymore because it's ridiculous. They know what we're doing here. They see the results, but if they can't deny it, and I've gotten some clashback from some local folks. They're like, dude, you're going to have a heart attack. I'm like, man, I was just at my cardiologist a month ago, and he says, keep doing what you're doing. And it was the same cardiologist that I seen in 2020 at 457 pounds. He remembered me. He said, "You've lost 160 pounds." And I said, "Well, I ain't never thought about it that way." He said, "When you came here in 2020, he said, you was 457. He said, just look at your legs. He said, your legs are 100% better." And that was the thing. I had edema in my hands, my legs, uh, all that's gone. I don't take blood pressure medicine anymore. I'm down from a 52-inch waist to a 40. And I figure probably before Christmas I'll be in 38s, especially if I keep, getting back in the gym and walking more and being more active. I'll be in the 38s probably before Christmas, which,
Look at you.
I know that was a long drawn out answer, but
Oh,
that
that's perfect.
that's that's how it happened. I mean, uh, and I still get some questions, and a lot of people don't put it out there, but there's like, "Are you sure you're not taking any medicine?" I'm like, "No," because matter of fact, last year my doctor was like, "Well, I know you tried, we tried the surgery." She's like, "But let me recommend you this medicine." I said, "No, I refused." I said, "I'm not taking anything." I said, "I didn't take anything to get fat. I'm not taking anything to get rid of it." That's
For
I said,
sure.
I've got to do this on my own. So uh, I went to her about a month or so ago. I think it was 2 months. No, it's been longer than that. It's August. Good grief. I went to because I've become obsessed with my blood numbers, right? As we all do, because we want to see how we're progressing. And she's like, "Well, what's wrong with you today?" I said, "Well, there's nothing really wrong." I said, "I just want to get another blood panel done." She's like, "No, let's wait a little bit longer." I was like, "Really? I really want to see." She's like, "Well, you had one in April." I said, "Well, I had one in June too, but you didn't do that one." So, but and that was one thing I didn't mention. I had a blood panel done in, I think it was like April the 6th. Um, you know, you, and I know you get this a lot, and everybody that has this way of eating gets it. Your triglycerides are gonna be high. Your cholesterol is high. When I Before I started, my triglycerides was like 175, 174, something like that. Just 2 months of this lifestyle dropped it to 130. And I don't even know what it is now because, like I said, I haven't had anything done since June. So I'm excited to see. I'm probably going to hold off till mid-December, um, till I get my next one, just because I told somebody it's like the scale. I don't want to get focused on that, but I'm excited to see what my numbers are. Um, you know how that is. I mean, it's just something that
For sure.
it's
Yeah.
like, hey, the non-scale victories, we see them every day, but it's, you can't get a blood test every day. So I just kind of like to say, well, to the folks that say, well, you're just going to have a heart attack. Look, I mean,
Well,
uh,
yeah, that highlights there's a couple points that I'm super glad you brought up, and I'll get back to them through it, but that brings up such a good point. The number of people who are like, well, you're going to have a heart attack. You're going to have heart disease. You're going to have a stroke. You're going to have all of these things. You're going to have colon cancer. And they will tell that to you while looking at you losing 160 pounds. And the first thought is, what do you think was going to happen if I stayed 450 pounds?
exactly. I had a conversation with one of my really good friends the other day, and at the rate I was going, I don't think I would have been here in a few years, just because I was so swollen, so inflamed that, even no show socks, like the little footy socks is what I call them. That's what I wear. Even those was leaving lines in my ankles because it was so swelled up. Um, Hands, even, my face. I had a lot of inflammation, and I knew that wasn't good. And when you get winded walking from your front door to your mailbox, something's wrong. you gotta fix that quick. So, that's just, I was like, I've just got to do it. Just got to buckle down and do it. And that's, I unfortunately there's a lot of people that can't do it. The mental roadblocks are just they just have them in a standstill. And I get so many messages from people that, man, you're inspiring me, and I'm like, well, I don't want to inspire you, but do your best. If I can inspire you, go ahead. But this is what I do, and they're like, well, that's really hard. Sometimes you got to do hard things. You got to do hard things to get the results. And that was me in the gym today. There was I still have that. I don't know if you want to call it the nervousness in the gym or whatever, but I hadn't
Yep.
been in the gym for about a month and a half. So my lifts suffered, and I had one moment on squat that I just about fell, and I quickly turned around to see who's looking, and I was embarrassed of myself, but that's just that's my issue, I um, even when I was a bigger guy in the gym, I'd get people would look and everything. But I had one guy that come up, him and his wife was always there when I was there, and they both come up and said, you're doing the right thing by being in here and working and everything. So there's a lot of supportive people out there, and there's still some that are not. We just have to kind of take it as it comes. I know you've experienced that yourself. It seems like everybody that
Oh
has
yeah.
has has done this has.
Absolutely. To your point, I actually just saw. Do you know who Joey Swole is?
Yeah, yeah.
So he actually just posted a video. I think it was today. I at least saw it today. Of he was highlighting this very fit female who was posting all of her fails. Like she was trying to do like a monkey bar type thing, and she fell and like complete like not like just fell off the bar, like ended up on the ground sprawled out. Failed on one of her bench presses, like tripped over something, and she was putting these videos out there saying, hey, like it doesn't matter how long you've been going to the gym, how fit you are, like people either make mistakes or they fail on lifts or they trip. And he was highlighting that, yeah, like anybody who is afraid of the gym or worried about looking like a fool at the gym, anybody who's a serious experienced lifter is going to go, yep, done that. Like, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've racked my shins on, working out, or almost broken toes because I dropped weights, or, like, so that to your point, that anybody who spends any time in the gym at all, respects the fact that you're there, right? It's like, you're showing up and you're trying. And B, nobody expects anybody to be perfect, because we've all been there. We've all slipped and fallen. And, you know, even if nobody says anything, at the very least, they're going, that's been me before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a huge point. And it's, super ironic that I literally just saw this video that, a very, very well-known bodybuilder posted today.
I guess everybody that sees his stuff, most of the time he's critiquing people that are videoing people that don't want to be videoed,
Yep.
and so that's what I like about the time that I go. I go super early in the morning, and usually there's not that many people there. I try to go in the afternoon. There's just way too many people in there for me. I just can't do it, And another thing too, I've been out of jujitsu so long that I feel like that that really hurt my confidence, and it has here, the past couple of months, because we were training 5 days a week. Went from training 5 days a week to nothing. It's just like So I'm trying to work my way back there too. Um, Hopefully, maybe next week, or at the latest 1st of December, to get back doing that, because that was something I found that I loved it. It was the pain was addicting, as they say. We There's nothing like your training partner choking you out, and then y'all shaking hands and dapping it up after that. You know, uh, I've been on both ends of it, and the competition I got, it was a submission only competition, and I got subbed 4 times. All four of them was chokes. I mean, there's something different about being choked, you know. The one of them I let go a little too far, and I started getting tunnel vision, and my ears was ringing, and I ended up tapping. But you know, I had that community. I guess it's sort of like the gym community. You know, just like you said. I mean, you may be no stripe white belt, but if you're in there, you know, giving it all you got and trying to learn and do better, you know, you're gonna have people accept you. And that was huge for me coming from a sedentary stay at the house lifestyle. Um, I tell people I feel like I've got a new lease on life, you know, and it all started from losing all that weight. It's just opened up so many doors, you know. I would have never even dreamed about being a softball umpire, especially in this area before now. But I just, you know, my friend has done it for about 2 or 3 years. My kids played softball growing up. And so I just asked him one day, I said, you know, they ever need umpires? He said, there's a shortage. He said, I'll get you in touch with a guy. So, you know, there's that. That's something I'm looking forward to. Getting back
So,
to, go ahead. I'm sorry.
you know, so one thing I wanted to highlight, you made a mention that, and I forget the exact timeline or what your exact weight was, but you made a mention that you were happy, right? This, you know, back when you were
Yeah.
around the 400, you're like, I'm happy. I don't need to change anything. Where you are now, right? Versus then, what would you say, like, how would you describe yourself when you thought you were happy? Knowing how you feel now, how would you describe what you actually were back then?
Medicated. But if I had to put a word to it, I was medicated. The food, the, for lack of a better term, the dopamine hit. The food was making me feel happy, but I was miserable, absolutely miserable. And I think about that when someone offers me a cookie or, you know, something like that, or when somebody says, you need to live a little. I'm like, brother, I am living. I'm thriving right now. You know, um, when somebody says, oh, you can do that, one thing is not going to hurt you. Yeah, it will. It will hurt me because I know me. You don't know me. It may not hurt you, but it'll derail me. I mean, it's like if you put something on the train tracks and it knocks the train off. That's what happens. So to basically answer your question, yeah, I felt like I felt happy, but I wasn't truly happy. I'm happy now. I mean, this has been probably the biggest change in my life, other than gaining all that weight, because I gained from probably about 2000, like I said, about 2004 to 2020, 250 pounds. That's just, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures like from that time period. I mean, like I said in the start,
I've seen your pinned. I've seen your
yeah,
pinned before and after.
I was tall and lanky before I got married,
Hmm.
and somebody said, I just can't see how you could gain that much weight. I said, it's very easy, and it can be done very quick. So that's what I've had to tell myself because I mean, the time period that I've lost this weight in is pretty remarkable considering it's only been what, a little over 10 months, almost 10 months now. So I have to keep that in the back of my mind that it took a long time to put this on. So I know this last 75 pounds is going to be hard. It's going to be harder than that first 100. So I'm not going to fall back into the old habits. That's something that I have to tell myself. Don't fall back in that old trap. You know, just got to keep grinding. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, uh, I'd like to be close to my goal weight by the 1st of March. That's what I've set my goal at, the 1st of March. So it'd be a year and 2 months. So a year, well, basically a year and a month from when I started to get to my goal. And I feel like if I keep going at the rate I'm going, I'll get there. Uh, might even be sooner, but you never know. That's my goal right now.
For sure. I think that highlights such an important point because I've talked to a bunch of people and almost everybody has, how you described it, that aha moment where they're like, okay, I'm not actually happy. Because I've talked to a bunch of people where they're like, I'm fine. I'm fine being 20 pounds overweight, or I'm fine being 50 pounds overweight, or you get the people that are 150, 200 pounds overweight, and they go, yeah, I need to make a change, and then they do it for a couple days, and then they're like, no, it's just too hard. Like I got to do all this stuff, and in the back of their mind, they don't think it's that big of a problem because they're like, well, I'm happy, like I feel fine, and it's so like I can't relate to a huge weight loss, but even 20 pounds, like I know how different I feel then, and I know how different I feel losing it, and I know it's, you know, exponentially greater when you have that much weight to lose. So I think it's being able to like introspectively look at your actual situation and realize that no, like there's better out there. And then that's when you can buckle down and make that commitment. So I'm really glad you brought that up because I think that's the problem with a lot of people is they're okay with it. Right?
I think
Um Go.
you're exactly right because they've done it for so long, and if it was like me, I was using it as a crutch to get over my stress, and so I think that gives us a lot of people a false sense of security that I'm okay. But to your point, where the aha moment, I have several bad moments, even now, and I had one hit me the other day. Um, you know, the majority of the time that my kids were growing up, I was overweight, and the last time we went on a family vacation was 2013, and a picture popped up on my uh, Fire TV of that's what I got the screensaver set as old pictures, and it was me and my kids in a swimming pool at, down at the Alabama Gulf Coast, and I had made a joke that I was Dad Island because the kids were kind of hanging off of me in the water, but I literally looked like an island in the water, and so that kind of got my brain to thinking, and I'm thinking back, and so from like 2013 to 2020, I missed out on a bunch. And that's kind of what my post was about the other day. A lot of people thought I was maybe feeling bad or maybe regretting being a single parent or, I'd do it again. These last 15, 16 years of being a single parent was probably some of the greatest in my life. The part that was bothering me was that I was so big that I've never been to an amusement park with my kids. We've never been to like Six Flags. I've been on a Disney kick the last 2 months. Like I told the girls, I was like, okay, we're going to Disney next year. They're like, we don't want to go to Disney. I was like, we're going to Disney or I'll go by
Don't care.
myself. Yeah, I'll go by myself. You can either go or you can't go. So I kind of put it out there. I said, all right, we're going to go to Disney. We're either going to go to Disney, Universal, or we're going to go to the beach somewhere. Oh, Dad, I don't want to do this because, like I said, my oldest daughter's in nursing school, my middle daughter's in cosmetology school, and my youngest daughter's a junior in high school. So they're like, oh, I don't want to do that, Dad. I said, I'll just go by myself then. I said, I gave y'all an option. But, that kind of hit me. And I'm like, well, that was just time wasted. And, when I think about it, it really was time wasted because I could have done something about it then. And that's what I tell people. I wish I could have found this lifestyle in 2010. If I'd have found it in 2010, maybe 2011, I'd have never got that big. Um, but like I said in my post, I don't have a DeLorean sitting in the yard, so I'm using now. I'm going to make make do with the time I do have left and make the most of it. So it seems like even though my kids are older now, uh, yeah, I missed out on some of that stuff, but we can definitely do more now, and I'm going to be there for them if they ever have children, be there for my grandchildren if they ever decide to get married, that whole deal. So there's always time to do stuff. There's going to be more time, but I felt like if I didn't make that change, I wasn't going to have more time. So making that change was detrimental to me anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. The other thing that I'm glad you brought up is you have this great ability to understand yourself. And like maybe it wasn't, it took a while, right? Maybe you didn't know that back then, but where you make the comment of, no, like I know I'm addicted to food, and no, I don't have that one. I don't live a little because I know myself. And it's crazy to me that people, if you were an alcoholic, people would understand, right? If you said, hey, no, I'm an alcoholic, like, no, I will not have one drink because I know where that can lead me. You would have every single person would be like, good for you. Like, that's amazing. Like, keep doing it. Like, we won't do alcohol. We won't go to a bar. We won't, serve drinks, whatever it is, they would be accommodating and they would commend you for that. But if you tell somebody the same thing with your food, they go, come on, like you got to live a little.
Yeah.
Like really, you can't like just, and they'll even do that. Hey, have just maybe have here. You sure? Right? And it's like this, it's crazy because yeah, sure. Alcohol, we all know the detrimental effects of being alcoholic and consistent drinking, but we all know what the detrimental effects of food can be. Like just look at our country. Like you can just walk down and see the number of people on prescription medication, the obesity issues, and you can't tell me that whether they will say that or not, you can't tell me that intuitively everybody knows that's food related. So it's super crazy to me that they don't, and it's awesome that you're able to recognize that and take steps accordingly.
So I didn't mention this in my long dialogue earlier to open the podcast, but I was a 16-year smoker too. I graduated high school in 1996, and I started smoking that summer, and I quit in 2012. Sorry, it was easier for me to quit smoking cigarettes than it has been for me to completely put sugar out of my life. Um, and it's kind of funny how they both have worked together because when I first quit smoking, I got to where I could probably eat a cigarette if I saw it. That's how bad I wanted one. But as time wore on, my lungs started healing. Um, I don't want to be too graphic here, but I started coughing crap up. um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I stayed sick, what I thought was sick, for like probably 3 months, 3 or 4 months straight. I had that cough, and then it started slowly subsiding, and I started breathing better. And it took several years, for me to get my lungs built back up. So when I started cutting sugar out, um, this was kind of another one of those moments here. But it was probably toward the end of February, towards the 1st of March of this year. I had to run an errand for work, and I hadn't ate yet. So I'd been fasting for about 20 hours. I was like, I've really got to get something to eat. And I knew I wasn't going to be back in the office in time to get my food, uh, before that would happen. So I stopped at Taco Bell, got 3 soft tacos and a Diet Mountain Dew. And so I'm eating going down the road, right? Maybe took 2 or 3 drinks of that Diet Mountain Dew. I got back to the office and I was sick as a dog. I'm talking about just nauseated out the tilt. And I was like, if I could just get sick, I think I'd feel a lot better. Well, I didn't get sick, but I ended up only drinking about 3 drinks out of that Diet Mountain Dew. And that's the last diet drink that I've had since then. If I have something fizzy, it's a Topo Chico or maybe a San Pele or another kind of sparkling water. But that did it for me. That said, look, this is what happens when you eat this. Now it's going to do this. And so now if I do, like on Father's Day, we had pizza on Father's Day. I had 2 slices and I almost couldn't get the second slice down. I mean, it hit me that quick. And it's funny how your body adapts and it says, wait, what is this? This is poison. We got to get this out, And and that's what I tell people. I'm like, I can't eat it no more. I just not only can I not do it because I'm a food addict, it's going to make me feel bad, and I don't want to feel bad. I like this good feeling. This is the real, true good feeling. So, that just like if I'm around cigarette smoke now, I mean, I've been quit for so long, I can smell a smoker a mile away now. It's like, oh man, who's smoking? I'm not judging them because I did it for years, but the first thought that comes in is like, did I smell like that too? How did people not know that? But everybody was smoking then, so even the girls I was dating, they smoked,
Mm.
So, but that's that's if we go somewhere like, hey, you want one of these? Like you said, no, I'm good, I'm good. So you're just gonna sit there and watch us eat? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm not hungry. I mean, uh, some of my local friends, I try to post what I eat daily. I'm like, this is what I had today. This is what I had today. They're like, you're probably starving to death. I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah. I took myself out for a date last night, and we went to or I say we look at listen to that. I went to Highway 55 Burgers, and I had 3 hamburger patties with. I did do. I went a little crazy and had some pepper jack cheese, but the the server when she was taking my order, she said, do you want fries, tots, or onion rings? I said neither. She said, what all do you want on your burger? I said, just meat and cheese. And she didn't hear me. She said, do you want lettuce, pickle, and tomato on that? I said, no. I said, I just want meat and cheese. She said, just meat and cheese? And I said, yeah. I said, no, I'm a mustard fiend now. I love my yellow mustard. I said, just bring me some mustard, yellow mustard on the side. And so she brought me like 5 or 6 packets. So I'm sitting there, eating my patties and just enjoying my date with myself. And people kept coming by and looking. I'm like, what? Yeah. So, but it is what it is. Perfect example of that. What night was it? I'm trying to think. Monday night of this week. Uh, my daughter's basketball team. She's down with a back injury, but she still goes to supports her teammates. So we had a late game. We didn't get out till after 8 o'clock, and it was about a 45-minute drive home. So we stopped at Whataburger, and I had 4 Whataburger patties with cheese. And the guy taking my order, he was real nice. He's like, hey, he's like, I understand. He's like, we'll get that fixed up for you. So you can do it. I mean, if you have to eat it somewhere like that, you can do it. And she had her food, and I had mine, and we had a good time. We went home. You know, it's just the people that don't do it every day, they're just kind of taken back. For example, we had another potluck at church a couple of weeks ago. So I did low carb chili, which is basically just meat and tomatoes, and that's it. There's no other. Maybe there was a green pepper or two in there, but they're like, "Oh, you need to eat this. You need to do this." I said, "No, I'm good. I got my one bowl here because I thought ahead. I had some eggs and bacon before church. I usually fast till after 11, but that instance I ate before, and that's this thing. I mean, you gotta learn if you're going to a function, you gotta learn if what's going to be there, what's going to be on the menu. Do you need to bring your own food? Do you need to eat before? And especially down here in the South, sometimes it's seen as not being cordial by eating the food. And that I say I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I'm just not hungry. So it's made a big change for me.
Good. Well, I mean, I love seeing your stuff. I love seeing how you respond because I know you still get some hate, and I see some of the responses to it. But I love how you put it out there. I love the shirt, by the way,
Yeah,
the killing obesity shirt.
you know, it's a funny story behind that. somebody said it on a post one day there, and I'm like, that's my motto. It just hit that day. I said, that's my motto. So I had a young man that went to school with one of my daughters. He's a graphic designer and everything. I said, hey man, I said, here's what I want to do. I want you to design this. Just design this for me, whatever. So he threw me a couple of fonts out here, and I love this font. But this shirt, the only
Yeah.
reason, actually the only reason I wore it today is because I washed all my clothes and I forgot to put them in the dryer before I went to the gym. And I was like, crap. So, but yeah, this is something that I've got. I don't want to sound like I've got big plans, but this is something that everybody that's a big guy or whatever, this should be your mentality. We can do it. It's going to be hard work. So there's a lot of relationships that I've made uh, during this journey, and everybody's killing it their own way. But the common denominator of how everybody's doing it is they're cutting out the crap, just to put it plainly. And they're eating the meat, and they're eating the eggs, and they're eating everything but the crap, and they're losing tons of weight.
That's actually perfect because to wrap it up, I was going to say, hey, if you have any advice for people, like what would you say? But that hit it on the head perfectly.
Yep.
But I really, really appreciate you coming on, Eric. I love seeing your stuff. I love, the inspiration of losing, the weight that you have. And not only that, just, I wanted to tell you, I love seeing the consistent, not just the post, but the consistent determination of, hey, yeah, I've done this and, I've lost all this weight, but I'm not done and I still have these goals and I still want to get to it. And, I saw the post with Zach Strength doing that program, and I think
Yeah.
that's awesome because it's just another way to continue to keep moving forward and keep, bettering. And there's never really, you might have goals, but there's never really an end goal. Like
No.
the end goal is to always continually improve.
Yeah. Of course, him being a former, D1 athlete and everything, but that's what I needed. I kind of needed some structure. I need to say, here's what I need. Here's what I need to do. So, I got his program and I looked at it, and it's fits me perfect. It's I won't go into all the details, but that was something I needed to kind of get a kickstart and get back into the rotation and going to the gym because like I said, I ain't been in the gym since before the end part of September. So I've been out a while, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to uh, Christmas. I think I'm gonna have big changes by Christmas. I think Christmas is going to be probably one of the most enjoyable Christmases that I've had in several years, just because I'm not inflamed out the tilt. So
For
I
sure.
do
That's awesome.
I do appreciate your support, and thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, absolutely. So people that want to follow along, what social media platforms are you on and what are your handles?
Uh, I'm on I'm on all of them really. I'm on X. I'm at Bama Bass. Instagram. I'm at Bama Bass 78. Uh, I just recently started. Well, I started a TikTok too. If you'll search Revolution of Eric
Okay.
or at Eric's Weight Loss Journey on there. I'm on Facebook. I can't remember the but uh, if you'll search Eric Couch, I've got of course, the same profile picture as on Instagram. So I'm on that, and I'm trying to do more videos on YouTube. Uh, but if you go to my Instagram, I believe my link tree's in there. It's either
Okay.
there. It's on
Perfect.
X too. So
Okay. Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun for everybody listening. Greatly appreciate all your support, and we'll see you next time.